Thank you very much indeed, and I'm delighted to be here today. Your Excellency, Mr. Deputy Prime Minister, Your Excellency, Minister Yaqub Ibrahim, distinguished ministers, ladies and gentlemen. We meet at an auspicious time, a time of faster change than anyone has known, and around the world we're living through this technological revolution which brings these unimaginable opportunities. And with these unimaginable opportunities come risks unknown just a few short years ago. Indeed, the ASEAN may be 50 years old, and so too is the internet. The World Wide Web, 25 years old, and 10 years ago, social media and the smartphone were invented, and now artificial intelligence and machine learning, these new generic technologies that have spawned 1,000 separate revolutions themselves, from fintech to law tech to edtech to govtech, indeed in almost every area of our lives. And the pace of change is relentless, and if you don't much like change, I've got some bad news. Because the nature of artificial intelligence means that we are likely to be experiencing right now the slowest pace of change that we'll see for the rest of our lifetimes. So now is a good moment to bring together some of the leading nations of the world to discuss this digital technology. And it's terrific to be here in Singapore for this discussion. Like us in the UK, Singapore is a small island nation with an emphatically global reach that revels in a culture that's open and looking for trading partners among our friends and neighbors all over the world, near and far. And amongst friends, let us be open and talk not just of the opportunities, but how to protect those opportunities for the good of all of our citizens from those who would do harm. Because since its conception, the internet has brought enormous freedom, but the internet is growing up. And to protect that freedom as it grows, we must be restless in protecting safety and security online. Now, from the pioneering work of Ada Lovelace and Charles Babbage to the visionary Tim Berners-Lee, the UK has always been at the forefront of this innovation. Yet around the world, none of us can rest on our laurels. Each nation, even in areas where our strengths are well established, we need to make sure that we stay at the cutting edge of developments in technology. Now, I personally feel this keenly because as digital minister now, my first job was solving the Y2K bug in COBOL. Thankfully, that went okay. But even the most enthusiastic supporters of new technology must acknowledge that it also brings risks. And the challenge we face is to harness the great power of emerging technology so it works in our favor to improve the quality of people's lives, and where it poses dangers, to mitigate against them. In 2011, we hosted the London Conference on Cyberspace, a discussion that continues in New Delhi later this year. And from ASEAN to the UN, from Interpol to ICANN, globally, we must strengthen our partnerships in regional and global fora to collectively tackle threats, to build confidence, to build that trust that you spoke of, Mr. Deputy Prime Minister, and to build confidence and transparency and strengthen global cybersecurity. Now, of course, this involves building capacity and to make sure that around the world, all nations have the capacity to combat threats at source. It also involves supporting the development and implementation of national cybersecurity strategies and supporting capacity building projects in countries around the world. As we negotiate our exit from the European Union and we become, once again, global Britain, we aim to become even more open to collaboration with all of our international friends and partners, including here in Southeast Asia, where we have so many long-standing friends. In this age of digital, we're all becoming more and more interconnected. And it's estimated, for instance, that in less than a decade, the internet will connect over 1 trillion devices worldwide. Both the UK and Singapore will take on major responsibilities next year. Singapore will chair the ASEAN, and the United Kingdom will host the Commonwealth Summit in London. And I'm sure these two will be great opportunities to deepen our friendship and to take the work that's being done this week and strengthen our relationships in cyber. Today, I'd briefly like to share the principles we apply in the UK to the cyber challenge, of openness to new ideas, of adaptation to change, and of preparing for the future. How we seize these opportunities while also preparing for what lies ahead. The first principle is to be open and optimistic about the opportunities digital technology is creating for businesses, for all citizens. We seek an internet that is open and free, and a tech industry that's vibrant and innovative. There's huge momentum in the UK tech industry. It's growing strongly and ripe for investment, and has created millions of new jobs, many more than the jobs that have been replaced. This openness is important, and it's important for citizens who can improve their lives by using the new technology. So our first principle is never to see these challenges as just a threat, but to keep front of mind the fundamental openness of the internet and its power to do good. The second is to be ready to respond to change and to be honest about the risks. We in the UK categorize cyber as a tier 1 threat to our national security. Since 2011, we've had in place our national cybersecurity strategy with a full spectrum plan, which covers the direct tasks we in government must take to detect, to deter, and to disrupt threats in cyberspace. But moreover, it recognizes that we can't do this alone. The response must range from developing new skills and expertise to supporting the ecosystem, collaboration with critical infrastructure, and the established cybersecurity industry, startups, and academia to protect our national security and our way of life. I've been struck here talking to many just how similar the challenges and the responses are throughout the world. We're now 6 years into that strategy, and in the time since, our cybersecurity industry has gone from strength to strength. The workforce has grown by 160%, and the exports have grown with it too. And I'm delighted that so many of our leading cybersecurity businesses are here this week. Universities, of course, play a critical role in terms of research, but we have to make sure that we anticipate the challenges of tomorrow too. So last year we refreshed our strategy. The refresh had at its heart one inescapable fact, which is that successful cyber defense requires collaboration between government, academia, and business. A strong cyber ecosystem needs all three. So learning from the Cybersecurity Agency here in Singapore, we opened our new National Cybersecurity Centre as the single authoritative voice on cyber in the UK, and we designed it by looking around the world. It's formally part of GCHQ, but culturally reaches outside the fence to draw on academia, to work and inform business, to work with citizens and the public sector about emerging threats and the very practical support that can happen. It talks to the public, it works with international partners and educates our nation on how best to stay safe online, and crucially brings together national leadership on cyber in just one place. So the third principle is always looking to the future. For we must cite cybersecurity within a bigger attitude to how we approach digital technology and the way it's transforming social norms. Digital technology is a force for good in the world, and to keep it that way, we're proposing a new framework based as the basis and part of a growing global consensus for how we interact, do business, and participate online. The aim is to protect and to promote freedom online by ensuring that we promote liberal values that underpin that freedom while preventing harm online. The starting point is that the boundaries and norms that exist offline should apply also online. This approach lies at the heart of what we call the Digital Charter, the charter that seeks to balance freedom and responsibility online, establishing a new framework for how we conduct digital business. And each society is facing these same sorts of challenges. And of course, by the nature of their technology, many of the solutions are global too. Of course, nuances will depend on each country's culture, but ultimately, this balance is needed everywhere, and we hope that we can work with others so that we can build on these solutions together. Because as humanity across the world, we share this technology. Together we've developed it, and together people worldwide now collaborate to develop it further. We're all connected by it, and harmony will lie in and perhaps even depend on a shared sense of norms. The debate's moving quickly, the pace of technology increases, and as more and more we interact, so more and more we must ensure that online we abide by the rules of decency, fair play, and mutual respect that we've built in the offline world. Our cybersecurity challenge sits within this context. So each of us here today is part of something much bigger than just ourselves. We have a job to do. So let's keep talking, keep sharing, and reach a mutual understanding of how we can best harness this amazing new technology for the benefit of all mankind. Thank you very much.